أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We'll begin from ayah number 69. So Yaqub alayhi salam, he let the sons go and he sent Binyamin with them. Now what happened? وَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُفَ, when they entered upon Yusuf alayhi salam, when the ikhwatu Yusuf, they came in his presence, what did he do? آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَخَاهُ, he took his brother to himself. His brother meaning his full brother, Binyamin. The rest of them were who? His half-brothers. Binyamin was his full brother. This is why he is described as أخاهُ. The word awa is from the root letters Hamza, Wawiya. And Uwiyun is to descend. It is to take shelter somewhere. And awa ila is to come close to someone. It is to join someone with something. So awa ilayhi, he brought close to himself his brother, meaning he hugged him. Awa ilayhi, he brought him close to himself, into his arms, meaning he hugged him. Just imagine, somebody meets their brother after so many years. And the last time he saw Binyamin was an infant. He was a little baby. So when he saw him, he immediately hugged him. Others have said that awa ilayhi, what this means is that he housed him, he accommodated him near himself. He made him sit near himself. Because you can imagine all of the people were there, but he had Binyamin sit next to him. And qala, he said, as if he's whispering to him, that inni ana akhuka. Indeed, truly it is me, your brother. Inni, indeed I am the same person, truly I am akhuka, I'm your brother, meaning I'm your brother Yusuf. And he doesn't tell him his sad story. What does he say? فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ, don't grieve, بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, because of what they have been doing. Don't be sad about it. Just think of this. Finally you meet someone who is sincere to you, who loves you, and you love them. And you have spent the past few years, the past many years, in great misery, in a lot of difficulty. What's the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth? Do you know what happened to me? Do you know what they did with me? I have so much to tell you. Just imagine you're meeting someone after so many years. You have so much to tell them. So many stories, so many things. But what Yusuf a.s. says? Don't be sad about what they have been doing. فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ. Tabta'is from the root letters, ba, hamza, sin. And bu's is to be miserable. Tabta'is, don't be miserable, don't be disheartened, don't be distressed because of what they have been doing. Because of what who has been doing? The brothers. Meaning what they did to me, and what they did to our father, and what they did to you. Forget about it. So he told him as to who he was, and at the same time he also told him not to be sad. This is the high level of patience of Yusuf a.s. He was so patient that even when he meets his brother, he doesn't tell him about anything negative. He tells him something positive. Don't be sad. Forget about it. Forget about whatever happened in the past. Why is it that we suffer from grief and sadness? Think about it. Why do we become sad? Why do we feel sad? Because of what other people have said. Because of how they have been towards us. Because of their behavior. Because of their actions. Because of their treatment. And we don't forget their words. We don't forget their behavior. We don't forget their treatment. And we remain sad. We remain anxious. We remain worried. And we never enjoy the blessings that we have. So what's the solution? That if someone has been wrong towards us, we must overlook their ways, their words, only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, oh Allah, you know what they have done. You know what they have said. And you put me in this situation. There is some wisdom behind it. I have had a great learning experience through this. You put me in this situation for a reason. For example, if a girl gets married and goes into a house where people are not treating her that well at all, and the first time that she meets her mother, she just breaks out crying. If she pities herself, what's going to happen? What is that going to lead to? It's going to make her feel very sad, it's going to make her feel very grieved, and it's going to make her talk about negative experiences. But if she takes that entire time as a learning experience, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? She's going to be positive. She's going to talk about positive things. You do want to share the bad that has happened. It is natural. You want to share it with your loved ones. But if you forget about whatever has happened, if you overlook it only for the sake of Allah, that, oh Allah, you put me in this situation, I have accepted it because of you, and you reward me for my patience. You give me reward, and you guide me through this. When a person behaves this way, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him sabr. Because remember the hadith, that whoever tries to be patient, Allah makes him patient. Allah gives him sabr. But if we don't even try to be patient, then what's going to happen? We're not going to be patient. So he tells him, لا تبتئس بما كانوا يعملون. Just forget about what they have been doing. Don't be sad. Overlook it. Forget about it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will give you peace at heart just as He has given it to me. We see that Yusuf alayhi salam, he is very, very positive. No matter what he has gone through in life, in every situation he has channelized everything positively. He has channelized his negative energy into what? Positive actions. And this is what has made him so productive, so beneficial for the people. Even in the prison, he was a muhsin. And when he came out of that, he didn't go back home, he stayed in order to benefit the rest of the people. And this is only when a person does not feel pity on himself. When a person accepts the difficulties that come his way. When a person does not remain in his grief and in his sorrow. He overlooks what other people have done for the sake of Allah. That, oh Allah, you reward me for this. You give me patience for this. And he tells his brother to do the same. فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. What do we think generally? That if we're going through a problem, if we're feeling bad, we have to vent it out. We have to share it with someone. That's what is encouraged. That you share. But the fact is that when you share what you're going through, what's going to happen? It's going to worsen your wounds. You know that? You're going to repeat that same story again. It's going to bring tears to your eyes again. It's going to make you feel sad again. It's going to make you depressed again. It's not going to solve the problem. What's the solution? Keep it boiling inside so that one day you erupt like a volcano? Even that is not the solution. The solution is in turning to Allah. That, oh Allah, you give me sabr. Oh Allah, you give me reward. You teach me what to do, because I am helpless over here. This is the solution. Because we cannot change the people. Can we change the people? Sometimes the situation is also beyond our control. If there's a particular person, and you're living with them, there is no other choice but to live with them. You cannot cut off your relationship with them. And Allah has given them life. Allah has given you life. Neither of you are dying, so you are meant to live with one another for however long Allah wills you to. Then you cannot change the situation. It's beyond your ability. Then should you boil up inside? Should you be very upset and frustrated inside? No. Turn to Allah again and again. Yaqub alayhi salam, what did he do? He turned to Allah at every moment. Yusuf alayhi salam as well, he turned to Allah at every moment. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to channelize the emotions that come into our heart. Because if we remain sad, that's not productive. If we keep it boiling inside our hearts, even that's not productive. If we show it, that's definitely not productive. So what's the solution? Turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he tells him, لا تبتئس بما كانوا يعملون. Just forget about it. فَلَمَّا جَهَّزَهُمْ بِجَهَازِهِمْ. So when he had furnished them with their supplies. Notice how Yusuf alayhi salam, he furnished his supplies earlier as well. And even again, he is preparing their supplies. It is as though he is doing it himself. He was the minister. He was the chief. He was the in charge. But look at how he is doing everything himself. What does this show to us? That the leader, the one in charge, is who? Who is he in reality? The in charge, the leader, what is his role? Just to sit up on his throne, on his chair and do nothing? Basically, work. work, to lead with action. Sayyidul Qawmi khadimuhum. The leader of the people is their servant. The one who leads people in something, he is actually the servant of people with regards to that matter. And we see this in Yusuf alayhi salam. Jahazahum. He is preparing for them. He could have ordered his servants. He had so many fityan. He was a chief. He was a minister. But he didn't do that. He did it himself. He made the workers work, but at the same time, he was working himself. Ja'ala, he put. So this time, when all of the brothers were leaving, including Binyamin, what did he do? He put as-siqayata, the drinking bowl, or the measuring bowl, fi rahli akhihi, in the saddlebag of his brother. Meaning of who? Binyamin. And he didn't tell Binyamin. As-siqaya is from the root letter sin qafiyah, and siqaya is basically used for a drinking cup, a drinking bowl. Remember? Suqya, what does it mean? To water. So, siqaya is a tool, is a bowl from which you drink. So he put that into the bag of his brother. Whose siqaya was this? It was his own, or it belonged to the king? Allahu a'lam. Inshallah, when we read these ayats together, I'll tell you the different opinions. Summa then, before they could have gone, what happened? Adhana, he announced. Who announced? Mu'adhinun, an announcer. An announcer, he announced, he proclaimed that ayyatuha, o al-'iru, the caravan, innakum lasariqun. Indeed, you all are surely thieves. You're thieves. You've committed theft. What theft? Of the bowl. So, a mu'adhin, he announced that, O caravan, you all are thieves. Al-'ir is from the root letters ayn yara, and al-'ir is basically used for a donkey or a camel. And in particular, that donkey or that camel, which is used for carrying loads, which is used for transporting food, transporting grain. So you, al-'ir, meaning the people of the 'ir, the caravan, addressing who? The brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, that you are sariqun, you all are thieves, you've committed theft. It is said that because Binyamin, he was leaving, Yusuf alayhi salam wanted to surprise him with a gift. And what did he do? He placed the drinking cup in his bag, so that when Binyamin would go home, and when he would open up his bag, he would find that drinking cup. Just as earlier, when the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam were going, what did he do? He put the bid'ah. So, just as when he put the bid'ah, they came back, perhaps he would come back again. He would get to see him again. This is one opinion. And this siqaya, this drinking cup, is a multi-purpose cup. Meaning it is used for measuring, and it can also be used for drinking. So, actually it belonged to the king. It actually belonged to who? To the king. And it was used to measure out the grain which was sold to the people. So whose custody was it in? Yusuf alayhi salam. Just as if you're working in an office, they provide you with a computer, with a notepad, with some stationery, with some office furniture. Although it belongs to the company, but it is in your custody, it is in your possession. Now imagine a CEO of a company. He has the choice to throw that furniture and make it as the expense of that company. He has a choice to give it away and make it as the expense of that company. He can replace it. He has that choice. He has that liberty. So Yusuf alayhi salam was also at that position where he had the liberty to do whatever he wanted with that stuff, and he could have replaced it easily. So this was not theft on the part of Yusuf alayhi salam. Remember that. So how come this mu'adhin announced? This mu'adhin, when he realized that that cup was missing, he, out of panic, he made this announcement. Out of panic, he made this announcement. That, oh people, you have committed a theft. Now when they made this announcement, Yusuf alayhi salam could not possibly say anything. Right? Because if he said anything, Binyamin even didn't know. And the people would wonder, why did he put it in his bag? They'll become suspicious that what is between Yusuf and this man. So Yusuf a.s. was also in such an awkward position in which he could not say anything. And as we will see in the following ayat, the conversation between the brothers and the mu'adhin, it happened so quickly that he couldn't really do anything at that point. Because you may wonder at this point, Yusuf a.s. could have come up and he could have stopped the mu'adhin. No, don't say that. They did not commit any theft. I put it in that bag. This was supposed to be a surprise. And if he did anything, the whole plan would collapse. And it happened very quickly before he could take any step. This is one opinion. I will explain this incident to you according to this opinion, and then I will mention to you another opinion. قالوا, they said, meaning the brothers of Yusuf a.s., they said, وَأَقْبَلُوا, and they advanced, they came forward. أقبلوا from the root letters, قاف ba lam. They approached, they came forward because they were on their way out. So now they returned, and they're approaching. That ماذا تفقدون? What is it that you all are missing? تفقدون from the root letters, fa qaf dal, faqd. And faqd is to lose something, to not find something, to have it missing. So what is it that you have lost? Because they did not steal anything, so they're asking, what is it that you have lost? قالوا, they said, the people of Yusuf a.s., they said, نفقد, we are missing صواع الملك, the measuring bowl of the king. The word suwa' is from the root letters sad, waw, ain. And suwa' is basically a container that is used for measuring grain or measuring water. So it's a measuring cup. Earlier, what word did we learn? Siqaya. Now what are we learning? Suwa'. And because of this, there are two opinions. Some say that suwa' and siqaya are the same. Because this cup is a multi-purpose cup. You can drink from it, you can measure with it. Like for example, there are some beakers, there are some jugs, in which there are measuring marks. But you can also use them just to serve water. You're not necessarily measuring. You can also use it for serving juice, for serving water. Just because it has the marks does not mean it's only for one purpose. It's a multi-purpose cup. So similarly, this was also a multi-purpose cup. And if you think of it, that siqaya, even if it was the siqaya of Yusuf a.s., even if he used it himself, even if it was his own personal cup, wasn't it royal? Wasn't it something that belonged to the government? So suwa' al-maliki, we have lost, we are missing the measuring bowl of the king. Others have said that suwa' and siqaya are different. They're different. They were looking for the suwa' because coincidentally, even that had been lost at this point. Yusuf a.s. did not know about it. He put the siqaya, and by chance, the suwa' went missing at the same time. Do you understand? He put the siqaya to surprise his brother. But coincidentally, at the same time, the suwa' of the king was also lost. So these people are actually looking for the suwa' of the king. They're not looking for the siqaya. Waliman, and they say that for the one who ja'a bihi, he came with it, is going to be himlu ba'ir, a camel load. A camel load of what? Food supplies. Wa ana bihi za'im, and I am of it responsible. One who guarantees. The one who was the mu'adhin, he said that I guarantee the reward of a camel load to the one who can bring the suwa', the measuring cup, the measuring bowl of the king. So then what happened? قالوا, they said, the brothers of Yusuf a.s., they said, Tallahi, by Allah. Ta is for qasam, and it's only used with the name of Allah. You don't use it with any other word, any other name. In fact, you don't even use this with any other name of Allah. You only use it with Ismul Jalala, Allah. You don't say Tar-Rahman. No. It's only Tallah. So they said, Tallahi, laqad alimtum, certainly you all know, that ma ji'na, we have not come over here, linufsida fil ard, so that we make fasad in the earth. We have not come here to commit theft. We have not come here to commit injustice. وَمَا كُنَّا سَارِقِينَ, and we're not at all thieves. You know that already. Why did the brothers of Yusuf a.s. say this, that you know that already? Because they had come back with the bid'ah, and they had returned it. Remember when they were leaving the first time, Yusuf a.s. placed the bid'a in their bags. So they came back and they returned that money. So they said, we don't have a reputation of thieves. If we were to commit theft, we would have kept that bid'a with us. But we came back and returned that money to you. You think we would take a cup? What is a cup compared to all that money? You know that we don't have a reputation of thieves. Qalu, they said. Who? The mu'adhin and his companions. Now Yusuf a.s. is just watching. This is a conversation going on between who? The brothers and the mu'adhin. So they said, فَمَا جَزَاؤُهُ. So what should be his recompense? Whose recompense? The recompense of the thief. إِن كُنْتُمْ كَاذِبِينَ. If you're liars. If you're liars, in that you say that you have not committed theft, whereas in reality you have committed theft, and if we find that cup with you, then how should we punish the one who is guilty? How should we punish the one who has committed theft? What do you say? So, قالوا, they said, جزاؤه, his recompense. Whose recompense? The one who commits theft. Now who said this? The brother said this. They reply that the recompense of the one, man who wujida, it was found, fi rahlihi, in his travel bag, meaning the cup is found in his travel bag. In other words, he has committed theft. His recompense is going to be fahuwa, so he is jaza'uhu, its recompense. Meaning, he himself is going to be the recompense of that stolen object. What does it mean by this? In the law of Yaqub alayhi salam, in the sharia that he was given, which was the same sharia that Ibrahim alayhi salam had brought, they were following the sharia of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the punishment for a thief was that he would be enslaved for 1 year. He would be kept as a slave by who? By the one whose property he had stolen. What's the sharia now? What's the law now? That the hand will be cut off. Back then, what was the law? That whoever has committed theft will be enslaved for 1 year. By who? By the one whose property he had stolen. So they say, فَهُوَ جَزَاؤُهُ. He himself is going to be its recompense. كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الظَّالِمِينَ. This is how we recompense the wrongdoers, meaning for theft. This is how we punish the people who have committed theft. Now, because they were so confident that they hadn't committed theft, they said, go ahead, search our bags, you won't find it. And if you find it, okay, the person who has committed theft, he will be punished how? That he will be enslaved by you people for an entire year. We agree to this. Now, technically, if you think of it, if they had committed theft, they should have been treated according to which law? The local law, Egyptian law. But the way that this conversation took place, what was agreed? That it will be according to the law of Yaqub alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam. So this is what was decided. فَبَدَأَ. So then he began. Who began? Now Yusuf alayhi salam began. He began searching بِأَوْعِيَتِهِمْ, with their bags. Whose bags? The bags of the brothers. He began searching the bags of their brothers. قَبْلَ, before, وِعَاءِ أَخِيهِ, the bag of his brother. So he began searching their bags first, before he searched the bag of who? Binyamin. Why did he do that? Hoping that, when it's not found in 8 bags, when it's not found in 9 bags, perhaps the mu'adhin and the rest of the crew, they would give up. So he started with them, and then what happened? They finally reached the bag of his brother. And obviously he had to search through that bag as well. And when he searched through that bag, what happened? ثُمَّ then إِسْتَخْرَجَهَا, he brought it out, he extracted it. What? The siqaya. مِنْ وِعَاءِ أَخِيهِ, from the bag of his brother. Now, think about it. The mu'adhin and the rest of the people, what were they searching for? According to one opinion, they were searching for the suwar. They were not searching for the siqaya. What were they searching for? The suwar, the measuring bowl, not the drinking cup. But when they found the drinking cup, now it was another case that came up. So they ignored the suwar, and now they're dealing with the siqaya. That if you have committed theft of the siqaya, then you also have the suwar. Like if a person is found guilty of committing one thing wrong, then he is blamed for everything. So similarly, the same thing happened over here. And if we take the second opinion, that siqaya, suwar was the same, and out of panic, the muaddin announced, and Yusuf a.s. was in an awkward position, he couldn't say anything. So when he brought it out, it was as though Binyamin had committed theft. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف. Like that, we made a plan for Yusuf a.s. We plotted for Yusuf. What plot? What plan? That now his brother was going to stay in Egypt for an entire year. This was the plan of Allah. Yusuf a.s. did not plan that. He just wanted to give a gift to his brother. Simple. And by chance, coincidentally, the suwar of the Malik got lost at the same time. Or the muaddin didn't realize that Yusuf a.s. had put it in the bag of his brother, and he just made this announcement. And it happened so quickly that he couldn't even say anything. And now his brother was proven as someone who had committed theft. And the result of that would be that he would stay in Egypt. This was the plan of Allah. This was not the plan of Yusuf a.s. كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف. Because مَا كَانَ, it was not for him, لِيَأْخُذَ, that he would take أَخَاهُ, his brother, فِي دِينِ الْمَلِكِ, in the law of the king. Meaning, according to the law of the king of Egypt, the brother of Yusuf a.s. could not stay in Egypt. He could not stay in Egypt because he was a foreigner. And on top of that, if he was to be punished for theft, what was the punishment according to that law? According to Egyptian law, the punishment was beating and a penalty of twice the value of the stolen item. That was the law of the land. But the way the conversation happened, the way that it unrolled, the way that it unfolded, it was decided that the punishment will be given according to the Abrahamic law. So مَا كَانَ لِيَأْخُذَ أَخَاهُ فِي دِينِ الْمَلِكِ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهِ, except that Allah would will. نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ, we raise in ranks مَن نَشَاء, whoever we will. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ, and above every knowledgeable is one who knows more, one who knows everything. Over here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ, we elevate the ranks. Ranks of what? Of knowledge, of high position, of whomsoever that we will. Like for example, the rank of Yusuf a.s. was elevated. Why? Because he was given the knowledge, ta'wilul ahadith, and besides that, he was given other knowledge as well. So, this is how we raise the ranks of people. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ, and above every possessor of knowledge is who? One who knows more. Yusuf a.s., although he had the knowledge of ta'wilul ahadith, he had insight, he had farsightedness, but he could never have imagined that his placing the cup in the bag of his brother would result in this. Although he had knowledge, but his knowledge did not have the knowledge of the future. Who has that knowledge? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what I mentioned to you was one opinion, which is that this was coincidental. This was coincidental. That Yusuf a.s. had put the cup in the bag of his brother as a surprise, to gift that to him. And this was not theft on his part, as we discussed earlier. But by chance, what happened? The muaddin announced, and the way that conversation unfolded, it was decided that the brother would be kept as a slave in Egypt for an entire year. Others say that this was deliberate. This was actually a plan that Yusuf a.s. had made. And what was that plan? That Yusuf a.s., he put the siqaya in the bag of his brother, deliberately. And it is said that he even informed his brother that he was going to do that, so that he should remain calm. But the rest of the brothers had no idea. This was all deliberate. And this whole plan, this whole thing that happened, the muaddin announcing and this conversation taking place and everything, this was all pre-planned from before. Yusuf a.s. had planned all of this from before. Then why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف? This is how we planned for Yusuf. Because Yusuf a.s. did make that plan. But could he really execute it exactly as he had planned it? No. Yaqub a.s. had also made a plan. But was that executed as planned? No. So كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف, what this shows is that he made the plan, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it happen. Do you understand? He had made the plan, but Allah made it happen. Especially that conversation. Especially that conversation, because that conversation was the main thing, which resulted in deciding that the punishment would be given according to Hebrew law, according to the law of the brothers, and not the law of Egypt. So كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف. Now there is a big lesson in this for us. What is that lesson? The end of the ayah. That وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Above every knowledgeable person is one who knows much more. Because sometimes things happen, and apparently they seem to be very unfair. And they happen very quickly. Just look at how the scene completely changed. Yusuf a.s. was giving a gift. And how it turned into his brother coming about as a criminal, as a thief. Look at how things completely turned around. Similarly, things happen which apparently seem very unfair, and we seem to be getting blamed for something that we have not done. Similarly, sometimes it happens. We don't mean to do something. We say something, we don't mean that at all. But the other person understands completely differently. There's a misunderstanding. There's a misinterpretation. And because of that, what you intended does not happen. You want to make peace with someone. You say good words to them and they think you're mocking at them. It happens, right? You intend something different and it comes about very differently. You get blamed for something that you never intended. You get accused for something that you never did. It happens in life. But remember, there is the wisdom of Allah behind it. There is the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind it. There is a reason behind it. Like over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to bestow favor on who? Yusuf a.s. That he would have his brother for the entire year. Just imagine how much he was missing his family. But Allah made this happen. And this way, Binyamin was to stay in Egypt. And Yusuf a.s. would get to see him every single day. Up until now, things were happening against Yusuf a.s. Now everything is happening in his favor. So, what do we need to do in times where we feel that everything is against us, or things are unfair, this is injustice, it does not make sense, what do we need to do? We need to do sabr, and we need to accept the decision of Allah. Like for example, recently, there have been so many natural disasters, earthquakes, and floods, and tsunamis, so on and so forth. And thousands of people have died. Thousands of businesses have collapsed. Thousands of livelihoods have been ruined. The work that people did for so long, all of it has been completely destroyed. And sometimes you may wonder that why is this happening? What crime did those innocent children commit? What did they do after all that they have to suffer? Like for example, you learn about the tsunami that just happened. There were schools over there, there were children over there, and we're very sure that even they are the ones who suffered. So you wonder, what crime did they commit? Now we are in a position where our knowledge is very, very limited. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a much bigger plan. His knowledge is more encompassing. We object, we pass comments based on our limited knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has another plan. Allahu a'lam, perhaps those children who have died, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken them to paradise. Allah has a much better plan for them. But because our knowledge is limited, we begin to object, we begin to criticize, we begin to say, this is not fair. So what's the lesson in this for us? That no matter what happens, we must understand that there is a wisdom of Allah behind it. And we have to remove this sentence from our lives, this is not fair. Because it may seem as unfair, but this is completely fair and just in the sight of Allah. Like for example, our knowledge is very limited compared to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And just to understand this concept, think of it as, for example, the CEO of a multinational, a multi-billion company. He makes a decision, and he wants to do something. There comes a child, somewhere from Africa, somewhere from India, and he says, why are you doing this? Are you going to give any heed to what that child is saying? No. Are you going to pay any attention to it? No. Because that child has no idea. First of all, he's a child. Secondly, he does not know anything. Thirdly, he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't know why that CEO is doing that. You're not going to pay any attention to what that child is saying. Similarly, what is our knowledge compared to the knowledge of Allah? It's nothing. Then who are we to say, this is not fair? Who are we to say, why is this happening? We must not object at the decisions of Allah. And we must understand that everything that happens, there is a reason behind it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is planning something. He is making something happen. The story of Khidr and Musa alayhi salam, where that boy was killed, and Musa alayhi salam said, why? And there was a wisdom behind that. Similarly, where the ship of the poor people, that was destroyed, there was a reason behind that. There is a reason behind everything that happens. Over here as well, if we take the first opinion that this was a complete coincidence, Yusuf a.s. did not wish to present his brothers as thieves, especially his full brother Binyamin. He would never have wanted that. But this was necessary for something else to happen, which was for his entire family to get back together. And this could only happen if they accepted the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, the lesson in this for us is that we also need to accept the decree of Allah. We cannot object because our knowledge is limited. And we must remember that وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Above every possessor of knowledge is who? Alim. Who is Alim? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And secondly, this has been understood in another way, that every person who has knowledge, there is someone else who has more knowledge than him. And there is someone else who has more knowledge than that person. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, above him, there is no one else who knows more. So we should remember our position, we should remember our rank, where we stand in the pyramid, that we're all the way down. Our knowledge is nothing compared to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing at all. So if Allah makes something happen, we should accept it. We should not object. We should ask for His mercy. We should ask for His guidance, instead of getting angry and frustrated.
Let's listen to the recitation of these ayat.